another one coming to you from Big Caribbean, the #1 platform helping buyers across the Caribbean import pros. Before we start, title rules and import laws can vary by state or country. Use this as your guide and always double check local before you buy. In other words, road traffic or your local traffic division, right? Before you buy. Now, let's talk about title types. Here we have it. The first here you have salvage vehicles. For these salvage vehicles, usually what it means is that the vehicle got in an once it got into accident, the insurance company actually took it to the body shop. The body shop gave out a quote. The quote was more than the cash value of the actual vehicle. It'll take more to fix it than to actually write it off. The insurance company actually writes it off, being to the fact that they would have paid more fixing it compared to just writing off the vehicle and signing that person off a check. That's some of the case, but we'll get into that in another video. There you have it, a salvage vehicle. Usually we would recommend getting salvage vehicles because the intent behind this is the vehicle possibly could have been running very good before it got hit, and the only problem is the actual hit, whether it be a door. In this case, you see two doors, the tires are flat, that needs to be fixed, the airbags are out. We usually recommend these vehicles as they're pretty good, meaning that they drove and they drove on the road very well, and there's no mechanicals or hidden damages like the dealer side of stuff. So this is one title type that we would recommend to the general public. And of course, with the platform, you can see that it is green. So second, we have rebuildables. Usually you see titles that has rebuildable in Florida. Now, is this different from salvage? No, it actually is the same. It's just a different name. Of course, rebuildable in Florida mostly has those type of vehicles compared to saying salvage. However, it is the same scenario as salvage, meaning the insurance company wrote off the vehicle. They sent it to get an estimate. The estimate was higher than the vehicle value. And here you have it on auction, ready to go. You have certificate of title. Yes, a lot of people, they say they want clean title, which is certificate of title. In the case of auctions, it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. The reason it could be good is because it may be a rental company, it may be a fleet lease company, a wholesale company of that sort. However, it can still also be a dealer because the dealer doesn't ultimately have the power to turn the certificate of title to a salvage brand, meaning that this dealer could possibly post it on here, and you may ask yourself, why didn't he just go ahead and actually put it back on his lot? But there may be hidden damages. And usually we see this whereas vehicles are clean, it's on the auction, everybody tries to go for it because the price is less, and then you come to find out the transmission, the engine is knocking, and most of the dealers know that, hey, most people that's purchasing on auction are not going to actually physically inspect it, which is a benefit to them getting that price, and then really is a headache for the person that's purchasing it sight unseen. We try to stay away from certificate of titles unless it is a rental company, or better yet, of course, a leasing company of that. Usually with the certificate of title is just basically the insurance company, not the insurance company, but the dealers posted on auction. As you can see, non-insurance, and we have this as orange. So fourthly, you have certificate of title rebuilt. Now, what does this mean? Just like you have rebuildable, salvage, certificate of title, if the vehicle has been previously salvaged and someone basically won it at auction, what happens generally is I purchased a salvage vehicle today, the bumper was bad, I went ahead and changed that. Usually I'd go ahead and have to go back to DMV, inspect the vehicle, beforehand, fix the vehicle, keep the receipts of the repair, and then actually go ahead and get those vehicle inspected by local DMV, which is actually in regulations to the US, not per se the Caribbean, because in the Caribbean, you can go ahead and actually repair these vehicles. The title wouldn't change. You just get a base title, and that's that. But in the US, you basically turn into a certificate of rebuilt, meaning that it was previously salvaged. You got it fixed. You went to the DMV. They see that they deem that it is fixed and road worthy, and then they reissue a title that it can also be actually stated. Yeah, in other words, rebuilt. So in this case, that's where you get a title, certificate of title rebuilt, and it would show that here, which it's still orange. Usually we try not to go for that because the main reason why is dealers can easily go ahead and rebuild this thing, and you're not aware of how they fixed it, if they fixed it good, if they didn't fix it at all, they just put something back on, they patched it up, and you still have a problem. Or two, they actually fixed it, they found a different problem, and then now they're putting it back on the auction platform, which on our platform where you could actually see what the dealer possibly sold it, purchased it for. As you can see here, it's 2025, and then you could see the dates. Actually, and you see it actually was on auction in 2020. Then it came back 2025, 4,000. So 2 to 1, they actually purchased this vehicle around $4,000 to $5,000. Now that the fact that they rebuilt it, they're looking for more funds. Usually with these type of vehicles, we don't go for it, of course, the discretion. If it is something that's viable, we ask to take precautions and then also get a report. Fifth vehicle here, we have this Suburban. So these are general vehicle titles that we don't go after. It's a big no-no, especially for the Caribbean. Certificate of destruction, it cannot be imported. Of course, as I'm recording this video, things could change, but we don't see this ever changing with certificate of destruction. What does this mean to you? Certificate of destruction generally means that they've completely written off this vehicle. This vehicle could only be utilized for parts, scrap metal. Usually these type of vehicles, you would have people, junkyards, companies, junkyards take these vehicles in and part everything out. So you need a fender, that's where you're gonna get that from. An engine or glass, tail lamps, the tires. They're gonna part this thing out and then basically you sell it in that sense. Or usually if someone has a project, then they'd get something like this. But in the Caribbean, being that you're importing to the Caribbean, that wouldn't be possible as well. In this sense, needing something like this, you would have to go to the junkyard, get the parts, and then get that route, compared to actually purchasing it on an auction and then having to deal with the hassle of finding somebody to disassemble this vehicle to even import it to the Bahamas, or better yet, the wider Caribbean. So this is something that you can see actually on the platform. We have ineligible, so therefore people are well aware that it cannot be imported. Also to mention, it has a P meaning that the title is pending, which is another 45 days. We usually tell clients, hey, look, there can be huge delays. We have the sixth title here, non-repairable. Same concept. As you can see on the page here, it's non-repairable. It is red, meaning that same concept, title of destruction, same thing here, non-repairable, meaning that, hey, this title cannot be taken back to the DMV or anyone else to actually get this thing back on the road, and it's deemed not road ready at all. It's only for parts. Same situation in regards to destruction. This is something that we would not recommend. Also, the platform is actually set to tell you it cannot be imported to the Caribbean. So this is something that you definitely want to pay attention to. Seventh and lastly, you have a bill of sale. This is usually asked with the bill of sale. Of course, back 10 years, 7, 8 years, bill of sale was something that was standardly used. However, this is something that, of course, and I'm speaking on the Caribbean behalf compared to the US, but lately here it's more so title. So if you have only a bill of sale on the auction, it is generally it cannot be imported unless it is older heavy machinery or older classics that at that time they didn't have any titles. It was just a bill of sale, and with the bill of sale you'd be able to import. However, with these newer vehicles, and we're talking about from 2000 up, you have titles that you need in order to export it out of the country into the Caribbean, as that's what US Custom needs. Therefore, they could easily say, hey, you are the owner, you have the title, you have the right to take it out of the country. We tell everyone that, hey, look, if it's a bill of sale, it's a waste of time. Now, can you get a title for a particular vehicle? Yes, but that will take extra work to even get that title in hand, due to the fact that there could be a few scenarios that happen here. The original owner still has it, they lost it. You need to go get a duplicate title. You need to go through paperwork, the DMV, local representatives, to find out what can you do in regards to it before you could actually import it. Do you want to go through that? I don't really think so. This is something, a bill of sale, we really don't recommend people in the Caribbean to go for. And as you can see, again, it is noted on the platform to safeguard you on the fact that it cannot be imported. Knowing these title types means you can focus on real deals, avoid expensive mistakes, and bid with confidence. At Bid Caribbean, we've made this platform simple. If you ever get stuck or want a second opinion, our team is here to help you in real time while you bid, and easily on the platform we made it accessible. You could actually click this blue button and directly get your questions asked by opening up the chat, asking what you would want to ask, and get a direct response, or someone actually calling you and helping out with your vehicle needs. Register for free and join our community. Ask questions, learn from others, and become a smarter importer. And if you want more content, hit subscribe and click the bell icon.